How you like the tank, Lace? You like the princess tank? You ready to get some princesses in there?
It's a smell.
She's like, I want to see what's underneath the towel. What's going on underneath there?
Hey everybody, it's Jack and Dan, and today we're finally finishing up the princess tank.
Yeah, so a couple weeks ago we kind of started this whole project, and today we're going to kind of finish it up.
All right, so this is just actually sitting on my bed right now because ultimately this is going to end up on the shelf in my room, which we're going to show in a minute. But basically the advancements that we made since the last video a couple weeks ago, again, background looks really great, kind of like a beach horizon going off to the ocean, the sky. Really cool. Got that on a clearance rack, super cheap. This is the detergent Downy bottle that we used. Everything is all silicone. We cleaned the daylights out of it, rinsed it a million times, and it is silicone to the bottom. And the reason that we did that is because ultimately we're going to be shining a light through the bottom, and we do not want water to be in here. Plus, a lot of times that detergent will still leach out of that plastic or whatever into the water, which we've heard about things like that happening. We don't want that to happen. We also don't want water in here because if we have a light underneath that, then what will happen is this little pond area, this little oasis that we're trying to light up, will grow algae on it. Now, there is a chance, of course, that a small amount of condensation may form in there, and there may be some growth, but we wanted to minimize that as much as possible because we want that light to shine through and make this look kind of blue when all this is eventually filled with sand. So there'll just be a very small area here. Most of these trees and everything, you're just going to see the tops of them. Got a little umbrella. And again, we'll put a link in the description of the beginning of this video, how we got some of this stuff. This is the little chair that we're going to be putting in there. We're not sure where we want to put it. We want to be able to move it as well. So we just kind of super glued that to a rock, and that'll end up moving around depending on how we want the scenery to go. We're going to get the castle in there today. We're going to get the sand in there, all this. Now, ultimately, where this is going to go is over here on the same exact rack that Cap's tank is on. So Cap has a 20 long, and as you can see, the pothos is doing a fantastic job. Got that big piece of bamboo in the middle, and that kind of hides the filter and all that kind of stuff, which we like. We have the under gravel lights, and we'll put a link to Cap's tank so you can kind of see that. We've done many videos on that. But anyway, the pothos crawling up the wall, going across the wall. We hung a little, structure there. It's going to be kind of filling in. That's going to be really, really neat. And of course, it's coming down the rack. Now, this shelf is an old shelf that we got from a friend of mine. He was throwing it away out of his office. And this is all tempered glass. It's very strong. Cap's tank sits right on those end things, so the pressure is very evenly distributed. With this tank, the way that these arms are shaped, these kind of lean a little bit, so we're going to be putting smaller tanks on there. But as you can see how this arm comes out to the bottom, this is the only one that would be safe enough for this to go on. So this is basically a 10-gallon tank. Wouldn't fit. We would have had to modify it and everything, so we ended up using the critter cage. We super glued it, cleaned it up, reinforced it to make sure it wouldn't bow and all that. And that is going to just perfectly fit in here. Now, we talked about the light going underneath, flowing into this lake. So I found a light, and this is really neat, guys. We put it basically in a box with a light fixture. Really simple. I mean, this was at Menards for about $2.99. It's a nice big LED, and we used this one in particular because we wanted it to be kind of blocked out and butt right up to the glass, shine through the lake, and not show any other light coming like out the sides or anything. What we did here is we kind of hid everything. This was kind of Jack's idea. He had a bunch of old magnets and stuff. So we took this little white towel, just an old wellness towel, and we took all these magnets, since this is a metal shelf, stuck that to that. That way you're not going to see all the boxes and the pump, the air pump, and the timers and all that under here. So that's really neat. By the way, guys, that's a great trick. We've talked to Fishman about that on his channel too. A lot of times these pumps, if they're vibrating or making noise, if you just set them on their sides, on a washcloth, if they're not on a carpet or a folded up towel, they'll be a lot more quiet. Not really exactly sure why, but we've been doing that for a long time. And what we did here is we put this light fixture into a box, and you can see here we mounted it. This is just a freestanding light cord. And so we unscrewed it, punched a hole in the box, put it in there, so it's actually quite solid. And then we just kept feeding little pieces of cardboard underneath here until it was flush with the shelf. Now it's kind of pressing up against the glass, nice and tight, and that's gonna be awesome. So that'll be on a timer. We're also, once we get that in here, gonna put a light on the top here that's gonna shine down into the tank. So that'll be really neat too. So basically what we have here is, by using magnets to put that on there, is you're not gonna see any of that. This was just temporary. I mean, ultimately I'll probably get a nice folded up one that's not wrinkled or whatever, or maybe it'll de-wrinklify after it hangs there for a minute. But anyway, we thought that had a nice little look to it, to not see all the cords and stuff. This, you're not gonna see any of this because the tank's gonna be sitting on top of it. And then that's gonna shine up through. So now that we got that all underway, let's go get some sand in this tank and get this baby rocking. Okay, so Jack's starting to put the sand in here. You can see how this is kind of shaping up here. Again, the only part that's going to be shown is this middle part. Everything else is going to be buried. All these rocks, everything's siliconed in there, so it's not going to shift around. I'm going to start working on this castle. Again, we shared this. This was a little old castle, kind of broken up, but ultimately it's going to serve its purpose. I'm going to drill some more holes in it and everything, because ultimately this filter that we got from Langan and Animals on a little giveaway she did, very, very nice, is for about a 5 to 10 gallon tank. Now again, this is more of a 9-gallon critter cage that we reinforced. We talked about that in the last video as well. And it's ultimately only gonna have, by the time we get all this stuff in here, maybe about 6 or 7 gallons of water. It is also gonna have the pothos coming in the top. That's gonna help clear the water a lot. And we're gonna use all of our old sponge filters. Since we have all these sponge filters, we're gonna actually wash those out in this tank after we fill it, aren't we, kiddo?
Yeah.
And that's gonna introduce all that bacteria and kind of prep that tank so we won't have to cycle it for, forever. But this guy's gonna end up going right inside of here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drill some holes in this to get the air tubing through, and I'm also gonna drill some holes around the outside here to let more flow through. So I'm gonna go do that with my good old little works drill. All right, so drilled a bunch of holes in this. Now check this out, guys. Looking at it from the front, looks pretty much exactly the same. But what we did is, all around the back and on the top, we drilled a bunch of holes so that the filter would be able to suck those things in. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put this tube right down the middle like this. So the other thing is air is gonna come out the top of this castle and everything too. This tube is gonna go right into here. Oops. It's gonna go right into here. What's cool is you could take this little tube kind of off, push this on real good, make sure everything's tight, pop this back on. Now what we're gonna do is this will be pretty much buried in the sand up to the sponge, and then this will just sit right on top of it like that.
It's like a hidden thing.
It's kind of neat. So that'll be sitting in the corner, the tube will come down like that, and you can see that sponge kind of right there. There are some fish may still kind of go through, some of these holes and through the back and the front, or they may just stay away from it. But if they decide to, then cool, we'll find out. So that's gonna go right down here in this corner. And as you can see, Jack started putting sand in here. We're gonna smooth all this out, level it out. We're gonna get it over there. And all we're using is just one of these really old Elite hang on the back kind of filters. This is just gonna kind of be over here in the corner, and it's just gonna warm this tank up. Again, very small tank, not a ton of water. Pretty much the same heater that I have on Cap's tank, except his is a little larger because it's a 20 gallon. This is the smallest one they make. I think it's like an Elite 50 or something. Got the castle in there, got the little chair in there. Again, that'll be kind of buried a little more. Got a good solid 2 inches of sand, so I have a nice deep substrate. Trees and stuff are coming up here. Again, this will kind of be shaped. We can add and take away sand, whatever, but that just gives you an idea a little bit of what we're looking at so far. It's coming together really nice. We're gonna get this in the room, get the under lake or under pond light hooked up, get the top light hooked up, start filling it up with water. And again, we're gonna take a lot of our old sponge filters and clean them out in here to accelerate that cycle and get things rocking in here. But this is really starting to shape up and look super, super cool. Depending on what we end up doing with this shelf, this light may be taped underneath this shelf, like somewhere in here where you can't really see it that much, or it may go underneath another tank. As of now, we just have the strip lying on the glass, big old piece of Gorilla Tape kind of covering the top of it to kind of hold it in place and seal. It doesn't look too bad. That light is now lighting up this tank, which is pretty cool. So that one little LED is a ton of light. You can see this pothos is very long. Some of these we're going to leave on this tray for the tank that inevitably is going to be on this rack. And some of these are much longer. They're way past this tank already. So those are going to be lying across here, kind of crisscrossing and getting their roots and everything in there. So we've got some on both sides here that are reaching down. And then, of course, like I said, other ones up here. So now, so we've got the heater in there. We've got the pump in there. We do have quite a bit of room here to reach in, you know, so it's enough to finagle around with things. And this is going to, you know, be opened up here, but we'll probably use some type of opaque towel because I didn't realize that it would shine through like this. So we'll get more of like a, you know, we'll get something red or brown or green or whatever. But ultimately, that's the first thing. So looking pretty good so far. What we're going to do here is turn these other lights off and get this bottom one positioned now. Wow, dude, look at that.
Yeah, I like how it glows.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I did not expect the back to be lit up like that. What it's doing is it's coming up underneath the tank, up the back, and making this sunset looking thing. The lake is lit up. You can see the little waves here. It is very dark and opaque, but you know, it's when it's full of water, it's going to radiate a little more. So it's actually like reflecting. So the back is lit up, looks like a sunset,
Yeah,
which
it's
is
gonna look even better with water.
yeah. I am shocked by the back. Totally digging that. Totally digging how that water looks. That's going to look neat. The only thing I don't love, I mean, there's a little bit of light going out the sides. We're not, I mean, we'll try to put magnets and block all of this. All right, so when we have the room lights off, this is pretty much what Cap's tank looks like. He's got the under gravel lights there, and a lot of people have never seen it from the bottom, so that's what it looks like from the bottom. Then, of course, the pothos comes all the way down, and then this is just the little LED we have on top. Now, that stays on in the evening for the most part. And that's just a little LED strip that we kind of taped on the glass shelf above it. It's giving these guys lots of light. As you can see in here, they got those little kind of like knobbies that are starting to form already. And so they'll grow actual roots. And then we just want to have the roots come across the top here. We're not really going to have a lot of leaves in there. We don't want it to obstruct too much. The palm trees came out really good. All these different kind of sizes and shapes. The castle looks great. Filter's working awesome. This has been cycling for a couple weeks now. That's what the little pool looks like. And here's what we did that came out pretty cool. Is when we poured the water in, we kind of poured it on top of this so it kind of shaped, there's a little piece of a leaf or something there. It kind of shaped the sand away, kind of gave it a really nice shape, like a little pool there. Isn't that neat? Yeah. There's a little chair right there. Super cool. Super cool. We just kind of put the umbrella and the chair on this side. The trees are in the corners. And then around the castle, and then there's a little heater in the corner. We got it going at about 76, 77 degrees right now. And everything's looking real good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn off the top light and turn on the bottom light. Now what we decided is we just have a towel here to block the light out, just to show you guys. But ultimately we have some black poster board left over that we never used for another project. And we're just going to magnet that to, we're going to cut it to exact size and magnet it to the stand to just block all this off. And we're going to magnet it in from the bottom so it'll look really neat. So next video, when we actually get the fish for this tank, we're going to show how that all looks updated and everything. All right, guys, so how do you like how this came out?
I really do like it. The lights give it an awesome effect.
Yeah, I mean, this was basically just a little creation that we kind of thought up and started working on.
Stuff we pieced together.
Yeah, we just kind of pieced it together over time, and it really came out cool. Really happy that the pothos from Cap's tank reached all the way down to this tank. It's going to be neat how they're all kind of going to be connected, and we're going to be putting 2 more on these middle shelves as well. Lacey seems to like it a lot. Don't you, kiddo? She's like happy that she's finally got a tank that she can see. And there's going to be other princesses in it, so she'll be happy. Or jealous, who knows. But anyway.
Or hungry.
Make sure that you subscribe because we are going to be, doing more projects like we do every Friday. with our aquariums. And of course, we do other fun stuff. Or are we boring you? Sorry, princess. Other fun stuff that we do on other days of the week too. And
don't forget to hit the bell for notifications.
yeah, that way you'll be notified when those videos come out. And you know, you can see what we're going to do here in the next steps of this tank and other tanks that we have coming on. So we'll see you next time, everybody. Say bye, Lace. And check out Lacey the Mighty Dachshund's playlist too, because she has her own playlist too, don't you? Don't you? Say bye. She knows her time. She's like, oh, are you trying to shoot a video? I don't care. I'm in the middle of kissing you.
She sees herself in the camera now.
She's looking at herself in the camera.